Hello, Charles. Welcome to the Elevate Your Soul podcast.
Thank you. I am happy to be here.
Great, great. First question I have for you is what elevates your soul?
What a fun question.
You
It's
can answer
ever
it
changing.
quickly.
Yeah, it's ever changing. In this moment, sharing truth and being here right now, getting to share what's coming through.
Yeah.
That is that is my motto. Always following our highest excitement and joy. So I think our emotions are our internal guidance system.
Hmm.
The more pain, heartache we're experiencing, it's just showing us how far we've come out of alignment. And
Yes.
once we're on the path of joy and high excitement and those elated feelings of bliss, then we know we're on the right path to our purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. My next question is how do we stay focused and access our inner truth amidst all of the chaos that's happening in the world right now?
I feel like this question's super relevant right now
Yeah.
with all the information overload that everybody's experiencing. And
Yes.
so I think first it starts with a level of sovereignty. So just recognizing that we have our greatest asset. Everybody understands now where our attention goes, our energy flows, right? So this magic wand that we're all born with, our attention, is our greatest asset. So if we remember that and become really sovereign to, discern between like, where is my attention deserved? Like, was this
Okay.
worthy of my attention? And so
Right.
then it's like really easy to start cutting out a lot of BS in our lives and things that aren't serving us well. And then we become like Bruce Lee, just like cutting through BS to align with the truth.
Right.
That's kind of that's the first aspect of the
Can you
answer
give us
because
can you give us a quick example of what that might look like or what that may be?
yeah, totally. So if you are, um, this is kind of a cheesy one, but if like you are hooked on a Netflix, series, right? And you're spending all these hours on the series, and then the show kind of jumps the shark, and it hits you like, hey, I've just spent like 10 hours on this show, and it's not really serving me. And so we realize like, oh, you can always use the art of discernment. So if it's not a funk yes and doesn't deserve your attention fully, then it's a no. So there's
It's
no
not a funk
maybes.
yes, it's a hell
Yeah,
no.
it has to be a funk
Right.
yes or it's a no.
Yeah.
There's no like maybe, yeah, when we get invitations and like even coming on this show, like I tuned in, I was like, yes, this is a funk yes. I like what you're about. I love the message you're sharing. Everything I see from you is like super aligned, soul tribe. So I'm like, yeah, these are my people. So
Awesome.
this
Aw
was a funk yes. That's why I'm here. As we follow our intuition, and you just open up new doors, new levels to a funk yes life.
Yeah, yeah, fully. I love that saying, that quote, but what I have to say as well, like you do have to tell the difference between what can be a funk yes, but you might not want to do it in the moment. And sometimes that can lead you to something greater in the long term. So it's important as well not to always do something for that short term good feeling and
Right.
thinking that because of that it's a funk yes. um, like things like helping someone else sometimes, or or doing what you need to do to take care of your physical health, like
Mhm.
whatever it may be, eating something differently or moving your body. Sometimes we don't feel like that or we're not in a good space. So I guess that's where intuition kicks in, and you need to use your intuition and maybe a bit of logic sometimes as well and be like, is this going to be better for me in the long term? Will I feel better afterwards? And if that answer is funk yes, then it's a funk
Mhm.
yes.
Yes, exactly. I like using funk yes because I'm PG-13 now. I have a
I
newborn baby, so I'm working on
love it.
very
I love
very choosing wisely the words I use. And
this podcast might be great then if someone listens to it, they're like, great, I can play this podcast episode to my kids now because
right,
there's no swear words in it. So
right. So you hit on something really important there that I think everybody's experiencing, and we really got to take a look at during quarantine, right? Which
uh-huh,
is
uh-huh.
uh, using consumption over creation.
Right.
right? Like we're each kind of noticing like, oh, if I am spending 10 hours on this series of Netflix, like what is it that's on my list that I really want to create that really sparks that like long-term vision, that long-term fulfillment that you're speaking about, as
Right.
opposed to always choosing just the short-term fulfillment, whether it's a donut to Netflix to alcohol to
Yeah.
whatever our vices and
Yeah.
addictions are.
Yeah.
As we create space from those and make those commitments, and it's much more effective when we have support and accountability, and this is the type of programs that we create, then all of a sudden you're creating space to create. And
Right.
it's like, wow, just instead of putting all my energy into these things that aren't a funk yes, all of a sudden now I'm getting all this creative inspiration. And that's when you tap into gold and get to really ignite that long-term fulfillment, which is usually comes in some form of service, helping others, sharing your greatest gifts, talents, and passions. That's what lights me up,
Yeah.
seeing others sharing
Yeah,
their
and it's
gifts.
so important as well to be creative too right now, or just anytime, to be honest. And
Yes.
a lot of us are like, well, I'm not creative. I'm not a creative person. And I think everyone's a creative person. They're just lacking inspiration or they haven't tapped into their passions. But it's so, yeah, it's so important right now. And we don't become creative by watching a lot of Netflix or watching a lot of news or spending our day on Facebook or anything. Like we get inspired by going out in nature and spending time alone or having a thought-provoking conversation with someone or listening to a podcast or you know something
Yeah.
that feeds the soul, and just taking rest, meditation, and slowing down. Like people live such busy lives that when we're
Mhm.
so busy you don't get that like spark, like that light bulb moment where you're like, oh yeah, that would be so cool to create this. Sometimes you do. But if you're lacking inspiration, I highly recommend just slowing down.
Right. And some people's addiction or vice is doing, like constantly, like I got to be working, doing. I'm sure a lot of people
Yeah.
can are familiar with that. And
Yeah.
then what you might notice is when you finally give yourself permission to slow down, then it's
Mhm.
like, oh man, I have to unpack all these heavy emotions now.
Yeah.
Like,
Because all the bullshit catches up to you and you're
right?
like, oh shit.
Oh man, why do I have this pain right here? Like all these signs and feelings that start coming up because we've just been packing them in our backpack to feel later. They're
You're
like, oh,
literally running away from it by being busy, right? You keep running from the emotions. And then when you
it's
slow down, they catch up to you and you're like,
right.
oh no.
There's
Gotta get
no,
busy again.
yeah. The deeper you go with emotional intelligence, you
Mm,
realize there's no running from it. You might as well feel it to heal it and allow for that time. And that's that's going inward. And that's what the collective's experiencing right now. And talk about emotions.
exactly.
Whew, there's
Yeah.
a lot of feeling and healing going on in the
A lot of
world.
shadow work.
Yeah, and we're seeing the what we want to define as good or bad expressions of these emotions, right?
Exactly.
So I feel like that's some of the most important work that we can do right
Mhm.
now is coming into alignment with our truth and allowing what's coming up from what we're experiencing in the world to be felt, to alchemize, and when we're when we have tools to deal with anger and even hate, and noticing like where that loops around and where are we hating parts of ourselves, or where are we angry at ourselves because we didn't set boundaries, or we weren't clear on what it is we want. And whenever we're placing blame, like, which is you're seeing a lot these days, it's
Uh-huh.
like, they're the problem,
Mhm.
this, right? It's like literally like pointing to where we're giving our power away.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you can
Right.
have my power. And then we have these three fingers pointing back at us going, hey, where's all the root of this coming from, right? And if we're triggered, then it's something that we get to heal within us.
Yeah.
It's something that we have the opportunity to alchemize. And by doing that work, each of us, like, that's actually serving the collective.
Yeah.
That's moving through this and not, bypassing. And so what's key about that is that an important prerequisite is a safe place to do that, right? And that's been a big part of my work, is creating safe containers for people to feel and heal and realize what's been blocking their creativity or heavy on their hearts, so that they can tap into that gold again, share their greatest gifts, talents, and passions in the world. And everybody has their own unique vibration and talents that they're bringing to the world.
Mhm.
And it's our own stuff that's getting in the way. It's our own.
Exactly. I just wanted to mention as well, collectively, we're feeling anxiety, but I'll get to that in a sec. But when you mentioned hate, there is sadly a lot of that happening right now as well. But all hate is hurt.
Right.
So if anyone's hating on you right now who's listening to this, or if you're hating on someone else, that's just a reflection of pain that they're feeling or that you're feeling. So go within and ask your intuition, you know, like, why am I so hurt, or why is this person so hurt right now?
Right.
And collectively, yeah, we are feeling a lot of anxiety right now too. I think literally, I think like 90% of us do deal with anxiety and suffer from anxiety on a day-to-day basis. And how can we move from anxiety to a place of peace and safety?
Yeah. That has been my life work, is
Mhm.
noticing the energy that comes up that's either not mine or that is not comfortable within me, and using grounding techniques, using meditation, movement to release resistance. I know you're good at that. And there's so many tools and techniques, but first I think it's really important to even reframe the word itself, anxiety, and really, like, you know, come clear on what that is. So
Right, right.
if, each word has a charge to it, right? If we say, my I don't want to get cancer,
Mhm.
right? And that word actually has a vibration, and
Exactly.
we're actually calling that vibration in by declaring that. Whereas, if my cousin is a Cancer in astrology, it's the same word, but way different vibration, way different
Yeah.
charge to it. So if we take away the charge from anxiety and actually just call it what it is, energy,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it's really a lot of energy moving, and it's usually, stirred up in the mind.
Yeah.
So so the thoughts can kind of go on overdrive, and then it's like begins creating this uncomfortable feeling, nervousness, panic,
Yeah.
so on in the body. So one of the greatest tools that's always right under our nose is breath. And
Mhm.
so something as simple as a pranayama practice of inhaling for 4 seconds, like expansion breathing, and then exhaling for 8 seconds.
Yep.
And you do a few rounds of that, and it's something so simple that allows that space to, like, a little bit of calming in the nervous system. And then
Mhm.
you can access new operating systems. If we're operating from this alone, that's like the fear response, like, what can I get out of this? And then we were able to
You're
drop that,
ego-driven too, the mind, right?
right. And that's like the same operating system that always wants to be right,
Yeah.
and arguments, and like having to choose sides, and
Mhm.
perpetuating the opposition and the illusion of separation, when in fact it's really easy to just do that 4-8 breath and drop our awareness into our body, into the intelligence within each and every cell in our heart space. And that's where we really connect with one another. Like, this has bioelectrical um, radiance that's 5,000 times stronger than the mind. So when we connect these two, boy, it's like full heart coherence. And then it goes from, what can I get out of this, or I'm unsafe and all this, to like, whoa, look at everything I have to give.
Mhm.
Right? Totally different operating space.
Yeah.
And from here, it's like, what is in the best interest of everyone involved,
Mhm.
including, like, what is the best win-win-win? Win for you, win for me, win for Mother Earth,
Yeah,
win for all,
exactly.
right? And that's what I feel is happening right now, is that anything that's not built on that foundation
Right.
of the best interest of everyone involved is literally crumbling like a house of cards. And we're
Or
seeing it.
literally burning down.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what's happening, is all the truth is always finds its way out. And so these organizations that have ulterior motives, that have been control, with
Yeah.
motivation of control for too long, are starting to be exposed. And I feel justice will be served, and And in the meantime, we get to come back to that place of inner peace, which is the only way to allow for world peace.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. I love how you said that. So like basically we're moving into a new time era, right? Where more things are built from a place of love and equality. So anything that's not built on those foundations right now is being challenged and collapsing. Yeah, so we're actually moving into a better time and space. But
Absolutely.
it's really challenging right now
Hey,
because
transformation is
we
not
do
comfortable.
have to change and things are changing and
Transformation is
change,
not comfortable.
yeah,
It's
change for a lot of people is really scary.
totally. I mean, think
Mm,
about in nature, right? Nature always has the answers if we spend enough time. A butterfly, it
yeah.
thinks that, oh my God, I'm dying. And it's this like huge transformation of just liquid goo they turn into. I mean, how uncomfortable can that be before they can spread their wings and recognize they just transformed into a butterfly and next level of
So cool.
evolution, right?
Mm,
So that's all possible with each and every one of us. And that's what I think we're going through as a collective right now. And so the one thing we can control in all that is our attitude about it,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
we can have an attitude of gratitude, or we can have an attitude of suffering, like this is the worst thing ever,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
that is our choice in any situation.
Yeah.
And so it's all happening for us, I believe, and it's an opportunity to create the new golden age, co-create this together.
Right.
And a lot of things have to fall for that to
Yeah.
to build. And yeah,
Beautiful. The next question I have for you is if we're to help, I guess, possibly move the momentum of moving into this new beautiful space and creating more peace in the world, which I think is really relevant right now. Anyway, how do we begin to create world peace? Like, what can we do to contribute to world peace?
mhm. So a couple things. One, like I mentioned, as within, so without.
Hmm.
So world peace starts with inner peace. It's like each of us really learning to go inward and find our alignment with our truth and our highest excitement, highest joy. And in the midst of that, we're going to be, anytime you step into doing something great, right, we're met with resistance, right? The challenges. And that too is happening for us. So to create world peace, it involves a deeper level of understanding. So this means seeking to understand someone before the need to make them understand like where we're coming from.
Yeah, yeah.
Once we, open up our hearts and minds to, can I really understand even like your worst enemy or whoever you think is behind all the puppeteering, right? Like
Hmm.
imagine trying to understand why they do what they do,
Hmm.
right? And then from there, having a level of acceptance, right? Like
Hmm.
accepting, okay, you're human too. You're making mistakes, whether you're aware of them or not, right? And then a level of compassion, and that's where that's fourth chakra. That's sending, love, and I feel
Well,
like
even saying they're making mistakes is a judgment, right? So
well,
just saying, even though they're doing what they're doing, I understand, it's coming from a place of emotion and they feel that way because XYZ, or even if you don't know the answers, it's like
yeah.
they may feel this way. They may have a lot of pressure. They may carry some burdens from their ancestors, like whatever the case may be.
Exactly. Yeah. So even, mistakes can be a good thing, right? It's
Hmm.
an opportunity for learning. So just recognizing that, and that can be a practice in every single level of communication, right? With every discussion, notice when it's like, oh, am I picking sides right now? Am I judging? Am I thinking about what I'm going to say next? Or am I fully listening and opening up to the possibility of really understanding where this person's coming from? And I
Yeah.
think that's where it all begins. So a level of understanding and acceptance,
Yes.
right, of all of our differences, which
Yeah.
makes for the most amazing diversity of experiences and
Yeah.
ever expanding potential, right? Which is what makes humanity great.
Yeah.
And then lastly, compassion. I think those three things,
Mhm.
um, as we get better at those three things
Mhm.
within ourselves too and outward, that's what's going to allow us to really build the bridge of deeper connection and realize and remember that we're all in this together and that we get to co-create this golden age we're moving into.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. I think personally, I feel if we can integrate the law of oneness, like that is just the answer to everything, because then what hurts someone else is hurting you. So you're less likely going to do it. And also like empathy, which is the same thing. It's like included in oneness, but sadly, just when I like look at the things that are happening in the world, clearly there's a lot of empathy that's lacking. Um, and people are even like having such a lack of empathy that they're basically sociopaths and they're doing like really harmful things to other people and or animals and the world. So yeah, I that would be my suggestion, is like integrate oneness. If you don't really know what that means, I suggest looking it up. But yeah, and having empathy, and which is compassion, as you say. It's like
Mhm.
the same thing, having compassion for other people. I think that's key.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And as we get better at that, then it's the possibilities are the potential is
Oh
endless. Right?
man, humanity and the
That's
world.
not even the limit, you know. And
Yeah,
we
it'll change
recognize that
so
we
much.
don't have to pick sides. We're all on Team Earth here. Like, come on, that's
Yeah.
literally the you know the the whole control and the jumping into conversations, trying to create arguments, trying to pick sides is brainwashing that's been going on for far too long. And I've just been
Oh,
recognizing more and more in my life, how we've been, whether it's like, you got to pick the blue team or the red team. You get,
yeah.
it's,
I
you
know,
got
and
to,
there's only two. It's like
yeah,
what?
you
That's
got to
so
pick
limited.
Democrat or Republican. It's in
Yeah.
politics. It's like, no, we
Yeah.
really, that is not worth my attention. Like, I choose team humanity, like
I
I would
choose
rather.
team purple. No.
Right, exactly. So,
Yeah.
and in that sovereign choice, it opens up the potential for more understanding of others' situations, experiences, and why they are the way they are. And
Mm.
then when we can accept that and have compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters in that,
Yeah.
um, that's
I'm
that's
so excited though for this new change. Like, can you imagine the vibration that humanity or the entire planet is going to be vibrating at? Like,
because
once
we're feeling
we
it right
switch, it's going to be so good. Like,
Yes.
at a baseline, we're going to be like way more like up here, like on a whole new level. It's going to be
Mhm. So what's really cool is during the quarantine, um, I sat with, okay, like it's time to make some pivots. Like, how can I be of service?
yeah.
And I got hit with the download. Like, people would really benefit from a powerful morning routine, right? So I
Mhm.
started good morning rituals, and it developed into this really high vibe tribe, right? And I take them through like 6 steps to easy manifestation and inner peace, and it's been really fun because we do guided movements to release resistance in the body, these self-healing tools with breath work, and then meditation. And it's really about understanding, like, hey, we're getting a huge dose of contrast here in the human experience. It's like in this 3D realm, it's about contrast. We're seeing clearly what we don't want anymore
Yeah,
in the world,
exactly.
right?
Hmm.
So it's really good time to take our magic wand of attention and put it on what it is that we do want. Like, what is the vision for the golden age, for the new world, right? And so this is the conversation that really lights me up, because there's so many different um, possibilities and people's imaginations. And so really aligning with that, and then feeling that in our system of what's possible. And even right now, just the excitement of talking about the world that we can create is calling that in, right, by
Yeah,
law of attraction. And so
exactly.
we are every time we do this practice, you're literally becoming more attractive to the world that you want
Yeah.
to. Who doesn't want to become more attractive, right? So um, so it's really important time right now to hone in on what that vision looks like. And so I already mentioned part of what that looks like for me is people doing some inner work to understand that we can really benefit from a greater understanding
Yeah.
and acceptance and compassion, as well as like imagine just for a moment, like every side street that you would normally see like homeless brothers and sisters with signs up. Imagine instead now there's just like lush gardens,
Yeah.
all along the streets, and there's people like just an abundance of amazing organic
There's
food.
trees growing
Yeah,
everywhere in the city. You can just
wow.
walk down
So
the street and pick oranges and apples.
totally right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll get like people will have resistance to that. They'll be like, well, that's unrealistic. And I'm
It's
like,
so true. Oh my
it is.
goodness. They're like,
And
flowers
that's
can't
okay.
grow beside the street. I'm
That's
like,
okay.
I've
And
seen
think
it in
about
Singapore.
just think about this for a minute, and then think about like, is that really that unrealistic? Because everything that we have now, it started with an imaginative idea. So
Totally.
even the fact that our planet supplies
Hmm.
more than enough abundance of
Yeah.
resources for everyone to thrive on the
Yeah.
entire planet, every living being. So
Yeah.
it's not a matter of limited resources. The problem, the issue is really just distributing those to where they're needed,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And
when you
so
make it out like there are limited resources, that's how you control people, right? And that's how
exactly,
some people have so much wealth.
exactly. And then when you go step out into nature, nature always has medicine for us and answers. We realize, wow, look at how the trees do it, right? Like if there's a tree that's ill, that's not doing well amidst the whole forest, well, through the mycelium in their root systems, which is like the nature's internet, right? World Wide
Yeah.
Web, they have the divine intelligence to tell all the other trees, hey, this one needs some of those extra resources so that it can grow and thrive just like the rest of the forest.
That's so beautiful.
That's so possible for us right
Yeah.
now. And so yeah, I just think that it's way more attainable than a lot of people think. And so it's really easy to get caught in the I'm still thinking about what I don't like, because we're seeing a lot of that. Cool. Is that helping you refine to what you do want yet? Because that's the conversation that I like to have. And
Mm.
then taking steps to manifest that vision, which is the fun part. That's
It's so much
inspired
more constructive and productive
that.
to have conversations around that.
Exactly.
That's really
Right.
cool. What message do you have for anyone who is struggling or feels depressed right now during this
This,
crazy time?
yeah, one, even you just saying that, I feel compassion because there's a lot of people right now that are, and I've been there. And so it's not, I have the empathy as well. And I mean, to really hit home, like the woman I love most growing up, my mom, she took her own life when I was 10. And so this is really deep with me, and coming back to, that as a gift, recognizing like, wow, I've been so close to death and a deeper understanding of death that has allowed me this new level of appreciation for life. And
Yeah.
so so I feel for anybody that's experiencing that right now. And my best advice is have the courage to ask for help, because there's so much, and like we said, resources and support available. Like, email me. I'm if I'm not the one to help you, I have other areas and resources and people to refer you to. And so
Mhm.
just to make sure that it's, again, we're all in this together. So recognizing it takes courage to ask for help. That was a big lesson of mine. I always wanted to be the superhero to help everybody else, but when it
Right.
came to my stuff, I was like, no, I'm running off to my man cave and I'll do it on, right? And that's like Charles 1.0, the old way of doing things. So
Yeah.
there's
The
another
man
way.
cave. Oh, it's so good. Funny. Oh, that's a beautiful message. Yeah. Yeah, something like that happens at such a young age that just like, yeah, that stung my heart for a second there. It's crazy how in times like that can really, that's like such a turning point in someone's life, and they can go one way or the other. And you chose the path of strength, right? The way you perceived it in the end, the way you chose to um, look at the situation. You know, you grew stronger from that, and you're a really good person, and that's so beautiful. Because some people can just have so much hate in their heart and be the victim, and say why and this happened to me and life isn't fair. But congratulations for moving on from that.
Thank you. I feel like that is a reminder of all of our challenges, all
Mm,
of our heartache and pain, all has value, right? It has
yeah.
something we can learn from it. It's like these golden nuggets in the midst of the darkness that if we're willing to go there and have the courage to go to those depths of the heaviest feelings of grief, of loss, of heartache, there's so much gold there. Like there's these golden nuggets that we can take with us, and the rest passes, and then that's what we get to share with one another to help each other through this journey of life. And so I feel blessed.
Yeah, beautiful. How can people find you online?
Yeah, so I'm very personable. You can even reach out, email me at connect@charlesclay.coach. You can also have a website for the men's group training that I do, and that's um, charlesclay.coach.
Yep.
And as well as Facebook's really easy, Instagram. So yeah, charlesclay.coach is an easy way to reach me. That's both Instagram, Charles Clay on Facebook, and
Awesome.
then website as well. So
Easy. Easy.
mhm.
Well, well packaged.
Yeah,
Well
I like
presented.
to keep things simple. Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly. Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
absolutely. Such a pleasure. Thank you for doing what you do and spreading your message and opening up this platform to help people expand their horizons. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.